the honorable juries, people whom I loved, and ladies and gentlemen. In this occasion, I'd like to tell you a story, and would you like to hear it? So, I have a story based on love. That love can unite us. Love can rebuild what's been broken. And in fact, that love is a gift. Do you want to hear about it? So I have one. Let me tell you the story of Panji, Wasengsari, which exists in the relief of KEDUNGWARU Temple, Sumber Gempol Regency, Tulungagung. So, here the story goes. Long time ago, in Rangga's era, there was a kingdom which was separated into two different kingdoms, the north and the south. North kingdom was called as a Jenggala, while the south was called as a Panji. And then, there was a man from the north who had a complete name as Inokartapati, which is well known as Panji in that era. He was the prince from Jenggala kingdom. And as the time went by, he found a woman from the south, from Panjalu kingdom, namely Chandrakirana. But she was well known as Sekartaji. What happened then? They started to look at each other, admire themselves each other, and started to greet and say their name. She was a very quiet woman who fell in love at the first sight to a man named Panji. And after that, they started to spend their lifetime together. Wherever he went, she would always be by his side. And soon after that, the princess went to the kingdom and informed to her father about the relationship. But her father denied it. And he said, "Only me who can choose you your future husband. And don't you dare to mention Panji's name again, or I will punch you." And soon after she heard about her father's disallowance, she cried. And somehow she encouraged herself to Panji by herself and told him that her father did not allow their relationship. And then Panji suddenly had an idea. He wanted to persuade her joining him an odyssey somewhere to decide the decision about their future. And finally, they found it. They figured it out. What should they do? In the other side, there was a king of Magadha who wanted to propose the princess, and yet the king of Panjalu denied it for one more time. And the king of Magadha was so upset and angry. "Your behavior determines your kingdom." And then the king of Panjalu was also angry. And then he ordered all gods to kick the king of Magadha off from his kingdom. Days after days had passed. Sekar and Panji were having a little chat around the bamboos forest. And then, suddenly, the waitress of the princess shouted and kept calling her name, insist her to go home. Soon after that, the king of Magadha figured it out that the princess had a boyfriend. He didn't care about everything. He wanted to ruin everything. Soon, he ordered all guards to beat him off and threw him away through the river, which will make him dead eventually. And what about that? The waitress told Panji that someone was about to attack you. So they suggested Panji to run away and hide somewhere for his safe. And on his way home, the soldiers found him and beat him massively. Oh God, what happened? Panji was knocked out and in unconsciousness condition. He was thrown away through the river. And they hope that Panji will die, evidently. Thankfully, the waitress found him and hit him, knowing that the situation inconsiderable. They hid him in princess's personal chamber. And from that, they had to think, what should they do, what had to do for Panji to be able to go out, knowing that his status was in danger. His status was incredibly danger in that moment. And ladies and gentlemen, they had to think, what should they do? Finally, they figured it out. The waitress decided to make Panji's appearance is exactly like women look like. And then he was given a woman's dresses, and from that, then his name was Wasengsari. After that, they succeeded to join and follow what they wanted to do few months back. They did like what they have, they did like what they had done. But a few months of disguise made Panji in a perfect condition to do a behavior like a woman. And soon after that, the king of Magadha announced an announcement that he was about to slay down Kadiri if they did not turn over their princess. Listening to his announcement, it made Panji so angry and upset. He wanted to reveal his identity, who he was, but the princess denied him, and she said, "Don't do that. Remember what we had done before. I want you to know what had we done before. You just have to know whether the situation is inconsiderable or not." And then Panji thought about that and he agreed. Perhaps this was not the time for him to reveal his identity. A few days later, they were having a little chat in the bedroom, and then what's happened? The king of Panjalu informed to her daughter, "Daughter, I wanted you to run away somewhere to hide your identity because the king of Magadha would about to attack you, attack this city, slay down this kingdom. And if we had beaten, we would be lost." Suddenly, Panji had an idea. He wanted to attack the king of Magadha alone, lonely, without being noticed by everyone, especially the princess. She was so worried. And then, at the day the king of Magadha attacked and slayed down Panjalu's kingdom, or Kadiri, Panji brought his army and attacked the soldiers quietly, and he made an agreement. He agreed that they would have a duel between Panji and the king, and if they won the fight, they would be over. And soon after that, finally Panji won the fight, and the king of Magadha had been slayed down by Panji magically. So after that, Panji informed to her father about his identity, and he wanted to reveal who he was. And after listening to his speech, king of Magadha finally agreed and allowed their relationship. So, just like what they said, or the proverb, finally they ruled their kingdom happily ever after, and the north and the south had become one Kadiri kingdom. That is the history. And they ruled their kingdom as what the law which exists in that era. And I think that's all from me. And my name is Rangga. I'm from Senior High School 1 Tulungagung. Thank you for listening to my story.